a lot of times, like, when I do crazy things or it looks crazy, like, I don't feel out of control or like I did something crazy at all. Like, when I get on a dirt bike and you go hit a 120-foot step up or, that's crazy to me. And, yeah, for me, it's hard to, like, do something in a sprint car that's, like, really impresses me.
Green flag in the air.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Hot Lapping with Landman. I just want to start off by sending a special shout out to my good buddy Jerry Myers, who is on the mend right now, current official with the World of Outlaws. He was injured down at Kennedale Speedway, and I know Jerry's gotten through his surgeries and he's dang close to getting home. So, Jerry, just want to let you know we're thinking about you out there and hope you're going to get better soon. And we can't wait to see you back at the racetrack. So, with that, this week's guest is I'm really excited about it. Been trying for probably 6-7 weeks to get together with him. Him and my schedule have not exactly worked out where we could get together. But Sheldon Haudenschild, the newest wild child, is going to be on our show today, and he has got some great stories, some things that I didn't even know about him. How close his ties have been to some of the crew members that he's had around him since almost the inception of his career that I didn't know about, and along with some other great funny stories that Sheldon was able to share with us. It's going to be a great show, that's for sure. Like I always ask you guys, if you can give me a follow, share my stuff out there, subscribe to my stuff. It's part of the game, and it would sure help me out a ton too. So I would appreciate it if you could do that for me. Let's not wait around any longer. Let's get Sheldon in here and let's get this thing started. All right, so we have Sheldon Haudenschild on with us this week. And Sheldon, kind of exciting. You guys, for you, probably, you're actually on a little break with the World of Outlaws. And now I know you like to race a lot. But how is it getting to get a weekend off coming up? And, what are your plans moving forward here for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, definitely excited for a weekend off and, especially Easter weekend and, yeah, just normal Easter things and, kind of our weekend off is normally 2 weeks off of, when you get that weekend off. But next week we got a NOS energy drink video shoot that we do every year. And so this year it's right starting on Tuesday, Wednesday we'll film. So, that kind of shoots my whole week for that. But yeah, excited for that, man. We have a lot of fun at those video shoots. And this one's going to be a cool location. And I think they have some cool stuff planned. So excited for that.
Definitely. Is that something that this is kind of perfect lead in for me anyway, but is that something they kind of schedule with you guys? Because I would have to say with you and Chris and Spencer and who's out on the high limit, I think they got one over there too, an Oscar. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
I mean, I think it's 13 of us total. So,
Yeah.
got
But
us Outlaws, you got Ricky, you got Sunshine, you have the
yeah.
Anderson brothers. So, for all of us to align on a week that's free is a lot of work for NOS to coordinate and make happen. So, yeah, it's kind of sometimes it's not like overly planned ahead because we have to wait till everybody's schedules come out and Lauren's on top of that and handles all that. But yeah, this year is a cool location.
And I know we got to keep that on the down low. I don't know where it's at, so it's not like I'm holding anything back. But part of the excitement and probably the reveal for this year's deal is where, what, and what you guys are up to this year.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of just have a little bit of a rundown, but every year we get there, and I think this year, in particular, is going to have a little more surprises than years past. So yeah, excited for this video shoot.
How is it getting together with 12 other guys, some from different disciplines and things like that? Do you guys all have a good time, razz each other a little bit, or is there a lot of respect that goes back and forth? I mean, obviously it looks like a good time.
Oh, no, it's a good time, and it's long days, man. It's usually 2 8 to 10-hour video days and, 30-man film crews, so it's no joke. Like, when we show up there and, we just do what we're told and we have a good time, and, um, you know, it's hard for, all 13 of us to get enough time, like, actually doing the stunts or whatever activity we're doing. Sometimes we all have to have our cars there. Last year, we had them all in Charlotte for the video shoot, and, so to be able to film something and make it look right because, it's like movie style filming, so it's not, we're just filming this on our phone and call it good. It takes us 5, 6 times and, you times that by 13 guys, it takes a while.
Did you ever think you'd be an actor, you know, doing commercials growing up as a little kid, chasing your dad around the racetracks?
No, definitely not, and that's probably the funniest thing when we go to these NOS shoots and, they hand us a script that we gotta do or whatever, and, I think we all struggle with that the most is, "Hey, say this script," and, a lot of times you gotta do it 10 times in a row or whatever, so it gets hard to do, you might say the same thing, like, over and over and over, and, it sounds the same to you, but, the guys in the studio or on the mic are listening and pick which one they like.
Who's the funnest NOS driver that you get to work with that you probably don't get to run across, during the most of the year that you always look forward to doing this stuff with?
Man, I don't know. Honestly, they're all super good guys. And, I think it's fun to catch up with the Anderson brothers just because it's a completely different discipline. And, all of us sprint car guys pretty much know how we're all doing or what our schedules look like and all that. But yeah, they're all a good time, man. Bernal's a good time. All them West Coast guys. You got Copeland over there watching American Idol in the corner on his phone, and it's just pretty funny stuff. And yeah, we have a good time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I had this incorporated later in my show, but it was just kind of such a good lead off that I thought I'd go with it too. Want to talk a little bit too about Lauren. Lauren does so much for the sport of racing and not just our sprint car world that you and I come from, but a lot of different disciplines like we've talked about out there. Tell me what it's been like getting to know Lauren and what a great ambassador for the sport that she is.
Man, unreal, honestly. Like, from day one, we went out and fortunate enough to win our first race ever together with Lauren at the All Star race, and then won our first race at the Outlaw show in Volusia, and just kicked it off on such a high. And um, yeah, man, what she's done for our sport, I think she was with Drift for like 13 years there or something, a ton of NASCAR stuff with Ricky and just unbelievable what she's doing for the dirt stuff, man. From World of Outlaws to USAC to having high limit guys and yeah, the Chili Bowl. I mean, just unbelievable what she's done. And then you have the off road truck guys and how much she supports everybody that's in her circle is just unbelievable. And what our sport has needed for a long time. And I feel like she's the first one to really invest in like a big group of guys, not just a single person, and really help the sport as a whole. I mean, the World of Outlaws series sponsoring that. I mean, yeah, pretty unbelievable, honestly, and she lives and dies for it, man. There's not a night that goes by that she's not up on it. I mean, last weekend, she's watching the dash draws, she's watching every inch of the night, and that's pretty unbelievable. A lot of these corporate sponsors are, here's the money and kind of out of tune with it, and definitely not with Lauren.
No, that's cool too. And the one thing I talked to somebody else about here too, just after Volusia, when I got a chance to, I've known Lauren, for a year or two now, but not as close as I got to spend a little more time with her down at Volusia. And she's got the drivers, the NOS drivers, but she just loves the sport. I mean, she's great friends with Donnie and Jason, and you just go right on down the line too. It doesn't matter if you're in one of her cars or with her colors on. She just loves the sport.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, and just how in tune she is with it, and like you said, yeah, she's friends with a lot of these guys out here, and, that's awesome to see. Like I said, she's helping her circle, but also just everybody in the sport appreciates her, and she's enjoyable to be around and friendly, and, that's what's pretty awesome about it. It's just, not something you see every day from a big corporation.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, I like her so much, Sheldon. I had to run to the store real quick today. I had to pick myself up a couple NOS cans just to have in the background for today's show. And first time
Right.
I've ever actually gone and got a prop, I think. So, Lauren,
Nice.
just for you, and we got to plug that NOS energy drink whenever we can.
Heck yeah. Thank you.
No problem. So, um, so hey, Sheldon, what I usually like to do, a lot of people know who you are and know who your dad are, but they don't know Sheldon as a 3, 4, 5-year old. Some of the people who are out might have known you, that were more involved with the sport. But talk about how you got. It's obvious your dad was Jack was a great wheelman, so it's pretty obvious the answer as to how you got your ties into racing. But you didn't come up the traditional way of quarter midgets, micro sprints, and midgets that way. You kind of got a different start, if my memory serves me right.
Yeah, man, we tried the quarter midget stuff, and they're pretty big around here. Honestly, the pavement stuff with Columbus Indoor and a few other places around here. I think Sandusky back in the day, but yeah, I think we tried it for like 2 weekends. We had a full tilt quarter midget. It was really nice, and um, yeah, I think I raced 2 weekends at Columbus Indoor, and at Columbus Indoor, the building beside Columbus Indoor is always indoor motocross in the hockey rink. And, yeah, I was just over there watching dirt bikes because I thought it looked more fun, so I think literally we got rid of the quarter midget and went dirt bike racing and had dirt bikes pretty much my entire life and still have them to this day. But um, yeah, I'd say from 5 years old to 15 years old, we raced dirt bikes every single weekend. And um, the older I got, a little bit harder it got because my dad was in the thick of his career racing the Outlaws. And yeah, my dad would literally send me racing with my buddies. He'd give me 400 or 500 bucks and say, make it last, figure out your pit passes and your entry fees and what you need to give to pitch in on gas to go racing with our buddies. And, I think it taught me so much more than just racing, but, just money management and things like that that we didn't even realize it was doing. But yeah, just very fortunate to have good friends to go racing with, and obviously awesome parents that supported it and got pretty decent on the dirt bikes. The longer we did it, I think by the time I was 15 or 16, it was kind of a turning point. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna go race dirt bikes or are we gonna race sprint cars? And, I truly believe I could have made it doing the dirt bikes if that's what I would have focused on. And, I was kind of a late bloomer on the dirt bikes because I'm a short guy and you gotta be pretty a little bit of length is better. And, I didn't have much muscle on me as a 16-year-old kid. So, I think I would have been a late bloomer in that just because of my body stature. But I got buddies that are from Ohio racing supercross and in the main events every week. And, cool to see is, kids growing up racing Ohio tracks and see them racing supercross. Pretty awesome.
That is awesome. I want to jump back. Did you say they were racing in a hockey rink back at Columbus when you first went and started watching?
Oh yeah. So arena cross back in the day was pretty big, and they would race in the hockey rinks all across America. The arena cross series, one of my best friends, Zach Ames, that's what he made a living doing arena cross. And yeah, they race in hockey rinks and tight racing where you got to get your elbows up and really technical. So yeah, and just really cool. I mean, they raced in a ton of cool rinks across America.
Yeah, that's something that I thought I was kind of in the know, but I guess I'm not. But that's a cool, cool education there for me.
You're up
Real,
there where they actually play hockey in them.
yeah, that might have something to do with it too, though. But and then the other thing I was wondering, as a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year old, your dad's obviously out racing, and I know that Patty was very busy with the merchandising side of his deal too. As a young lad like that, who's taking you racing? And obviously, you've got to have somebody that can overlook and kind of herd all your cats. If you're with some of your buddies along the way, how did that work?
Yeah, I think I had to grow up pretty quick just with my dad out racing. And man, I had one of my best friends that lived down the road. He was number 92. I was always number 93. We picked our numbers together. And um, yeah, I just got lucky with good friends, and they took me racing. And um, man, it was full time. We loaded up in the back of the Chevy van, and Um, we had 3, 4 bikes in the back. We had the bed made. We'd leave at 4 or 5 in the morning and go racing. And um, yeah, just had really good friends along the way that took me places without my dad and mom. And yeah, they were out on the road. So I stayed at home alone a lot, me and my sister, and we got ourselves to school and did all that once we got to, 15, 16 years old. Pretty much once I was 15 because my sister could drive and my parents trusted us to stay home. But before that, I stayed with my aunt a lot, and she would figure out how to get us to school and all that. But the going racing part, just really good friends that took me racing, and so grateful for them because that's a lot to take someone else's kid, load their bikes up, make sure it's not going to fall apart on them. It's dangerous. You know, I was fortunate to not ever get super hurt with my friends there, but there's a couple funny stories of getting hurt with my friends.
Not at the racetrack, is that what you're saying?
Oh no, racetrack and not, but man, I remember one time I think we were in Steel City, Pennsylvania, old national track. I broke my ankle on my first race of the day. There was you know, a jump. I cased it, broke my ankle. It was 4th of July weekend. Uh, Man, so first run of the day, I'm there with 2 other friends, so a lot of the times we'd race 2 or 3 classes, each, and you know, we're not gonna go home because my ankle's broke, right? They spent $150 for their entry fees. We got fuel there. It's a 5-hour drive. So, stick your foot in the cooler and wait it out and let my friends race their motos. And then, oh man, I'll never forget. We were heading home. We were in this old Winnebago, probably. It was overheating every 10 miles. My ankle's in the cooler the whole way home. Then my friends decide they want to stop and go fishing in the river. And I'm like, "Dude, just get me home. My ankle's, like, not good here." And we're overheating, we're filling up with water, we're going fishing. I remember it was probably 1 or 2 in the morning before I got home, and my mom was not happy.
Well, what do you say? Hey, listen, I was kind of at the mercy of the drivers.
Yeah, it was just so
Yeah.
many good memories with my friends racing dirt bikes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and you already answered the question I had here down the line is the 93 number that you and your buddy apparently came up with as motorcycle racers kind of stuck with you until you were able to move get in, establish and get that full-time ride. Um and talk to me a little bit about the transition from motorcycles, broken ankles to sprint cars and top wings.
Yeah, so, I mean, till I was 16, I broke both my ankles twice, both my collarbones twice, concussions, broke my wrist, my hand, just, You know, I'm lucky. Every single friend I have is either been life flighted or had bones sticking out of their skin or, crazy stuff that, I've seen and been there for. And, I was pretty fortunate on the dirt bike side of things. And, my dad always was, in my ear of, you don't want to crash these things. They hurt when you hit the ground. And, you know, I've slammed the ground many times on a dirt bike and yeah, not very fun. I think that's why, when I did get in the sprint car, it kind of probably looked like I was a bit fearless, but I think it's just a whole different mentality from riding a dirt bike to getting in a car. It just feels so much safer that like you do feel invincible. So, and I think you see that in my dad and how he grew up was probably pretty crazy. And, he gets in the car and probably feels really safe. So, yeah, the transition literally when I was 15 or 16, my dad just started building a sprint car and man, I don't even think I helped at all really on it. And, I was riding dirt bikes every single weekend. And, I think we loaded up and we went to Hilltop and spun a couple laps. And honestly, I think we raced Attica the following weekend with the 360. And from that, literally the first weekend, I don't think I ever raced a dirt bike again after that when I was 16.
Was it because that it was so much fun that you were in a sprint car, or was it you realized that was the path you needed to go down, or you wanted to go down, or a combination of both? That all of a sudden the dirt bike's in the corner of the garage.
Yeah, I think it was a combination. I don't know if you're ever gonna beat the fun of a dirt bike, honestly, but, I think you grow to enjoy the sprint cars more and more the longer you do it, and they're definitely fun, man. And I think just the safety side of things and the money side of things, like I'm 32 now, I'd be literally a year or two from retired on riding a dirt bike, and that's without injuries or anything like that. So, I think when my me and my dad sat down and talked about it, it was kind of a no-brainer. Like, I could race sprint cars until I'm 55, 50, 60 pretty easily and make decent money at it, as to where the dirt bike thing is like you have to be the top 5 guys in the whole entire world to even think about making a little bit of money. So, I think that side of things is probably the ultimate factor of like it's safer, I can make a good living, and the longevity of it is pretty good.
Yeah. About the time you were growing up, I'm not sure if you guys ever overlapped or ran across each other or not, but I think Doug Wolfgang's boy Robbie was a motorcycle racer too. Did you ever run across his path at all?
Yeah, that's funny you say that. Actually, there's man, I remember probably being like, well, I don't know, probably like 14, and we were in South Dakota somewhere, right by Lunsford's shop is the track
Renner.
we went
Yep.
to. And
Saddleback. Yep.
yep, we went to Saddleback when I was probably 14, and Robbie let me. I think it was Robbie and Dustin and Eric who do graphics out there for Lunstra and all them, but they had bikes and we went and rode Saddleback, and yeah, it was just one good day of riding. And yeah, I knew Robbie from dirt bikes more than the sprint car side of things.
Yeah, and I know he was a pretty good racer back in his day too. So, just was wondering if you had ever run across him.
Yep.
So, um, the going back to the motorcycle thing, and you're tied in with Lauren and Nos, and back here we go back to Volusia after the first week, and they have the Supercross there right at Daytona Speedway, and I'd have to about imagine you made an appearance over there for that.
Oh yeah, every year we've made Daytona, and thanks to Lauren, that's the first time I've been to Daytona once our schedules lined up, because we were always gone for that and never got to go there as a kid. And yeah, just what an unreal race. And yeah, she's got us hooked up in the suites. And there's all sorts of guys that I've looked up to racing. Josh Hill will be up in the suite, and it's just like pretty surreal for me to grow up around the dirt bike stuff and then you know be able to sit in the same room as them guys and talk to them, and pretty awesome.
Do any of the people that you were racing against back then, are they out? Did they ever make it big time? Do you have guys maybe you stay in touch with a little bit on the Supercross deal?
Yeah, I don't stay in touch with many of them, but I do see them. Like when I go to Daytona, I'll swing by their pits, and Cade Clayson is one and that literally grew up, 30, 40 minutes from here. And we rode every Wednesday and Thursday together, and raced every week together. And, just to make the mains at those Supercross races is unbelievably hard. And the talent that you have to just do that is unreal. But yeah, Logan Carnell's another kid I grew up racing with, and one of my best friends, Nathan Alexander, is the crew chief on Joey Savacci's ride, but he's been a top 5 guy all year. Duffy that works for Deegan, he's come to a couple of sprint car races and good friends with Nathan. But uh, yeah, just them guys respect our sport, and it's cool to have friends over there and be able to talk to and see what's going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. So eventually we get started in the sprint car in the '93, and you said it was a 360. Tell me about your first ever race in a sprint car. How it went, the results, and the results compared to your expectations going in for the first time ever.
Yeah, man. So I think it was Attica. I think we went with a 360, and I don't remember how it went. Probably ran in the B main somewhere. And honestly, that whole first year, I probably only raced like maybe 15 times my first year, just Attica, Fremont, Wayne County with my 360. And it wasn't till my second year until we got a 410. And yeah, we were just logging some laps there.
So were you running against 410s with your 360?
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that makes
No,
it kind of tough.
we would just go to Attica with the 360 just to get laps. And yeah, there was a couple times like it must have been the 2nd year after I had a 410 for a little bit, and it blew up, and so we put the 360 back in and went to Wayne County, and I was bitching and crying, and my dad was like, "Just go race the thing," and I'll never forget, I led every lap, and I spun out coming to 4. Shoulda won. One of my best friends won, and, yeah, I caught a lot of crap for that because I was crying and whining about having a 360 in and shoulda won that 410 race, but, um, yeah, those honestly, like, my first I don't know, my first 3, 4, even 5 years, I didn't get to race that much, like, my dad was gone racing the Outlaws, I didn't my cousin Little Jack would take me racing, we didn't really have the money to be doing it, like, we had a shit box engine that blew up literally every week, and I'll never forget, like, honestly, my whole career, like, Paul Kistler and Charlie Fisher, saved me going racing because pretty much every Monday morning, I was driving to Paul's shop, and every Thursday, I was picking our engine up, and that's all we had was 1 engine, so, I'd get home on Thursday from Paul's, we'd put it in, we'd go race Friday, Saturday, and if we just survived the week, it was a great week.
Money ahead, right, baby?
Oh, man. Yeah, the help that Paul gave us all those years, like, literally kept me racing. We had an old, BD headed 410 that we got the heads from I don't even know. I think the, Destiny car or something my dad was driving, and, I mean, it had troubles every week. We were working on that thing, so, like, I didn't get to race that much. When I did race, we probably had troubles or I crashed it, so, like, my first 5 years of racing, not a lot of racing actually happened.
So Dean Bruns has been a huge part of your guys' family over your dad's career. Everybody might know him as Bonsai. Um,
Yeah.
and tell me, where was Bonds at this time? Was he going racing with you, or was he still out on the road racing with somebody else?
And so there was a few we'll just start, like, 2009 was my first year racing, right? So,
Yeah.
2009, my dad was in the R19 car, I think 9 and 10. And so, also at that time, at the beginning of that year, my cousin Little Jack was taking me racing. My dad was in the R19 car. Well, Ripper was the tire guy on the R19 car in 2009. That's how we met Ripper. So
Okay.
Ripper's literally been there from the start of my career as well. And Bonsai's been there from the start of my life in the 90s with my dad.
Yep.
So, I've had great guys. And then I had my best friend, Zach Ames, who was racing arena cross those years. He ended up he raced, I think, until 2000, I don't know, 16 maybe. So Bonsai, Ripper, and Zach are pretty much the guys that like made it happen for me on the working side and taking me racing and like making sure I got there. And Bonsai from the start, met Ripper in 2009. I think Ripper finished 2009 with my dad on the R19 deal. And my dad ended up talking Ripper into quitting and coming to work for me in 2010, I think. And I think it was 10, 11, 12. I think Ripper ended up helping me. So those 3 years, me and Ripper, like, grinded it out. My dad was in, I think, the '59 car probably after that. So Bonsai was around as well. So, like and then we had Gravel and Swank also staying at our shop. So, like, we had a crew of people at my dad's shop, and honestly, some of the most fun times we've ever had, like, with that group of guys, and um, you know, my dad really didn't have that much money. He wasn't racing that much. He wasn't really winning that much in that deal. And if he was, it was all-star races. So it's not like you're making a ton of money,
Yep.
especially trying to go race me and keep one 410 engine going and the whole nine.
Yeah.
So like, thankfully, Ripper didn't need paid a whole lot. I didn't take any money. Like,
Yep.
we lived cheap. Ripper lived at our house, Bonsai lived at our house, and Zach lived at our house. So like, and David Grapple was sleeping on our couch. So
And
like we
was he
had a
driving the '89 car then? The
yeah, so
family
we
owned
had
'89.
Grapple. Yep, he was at the shop with his semi. Actually, Ripper worked with Swank and Gravel at one point too. So it was a whole ordeal. I mean, David was giving me old used tires. He'd give me a tail tank if I needed, or I'd buy it off of him cheap. And
Yeah.
but he was staying at our shop, so it all worked out. Um, yeah, just that period of time, and then I think it was probably 2013 or 14, Ripper got the call to go work on the 18 car, then it was,
That just so
uh
everybody knows, that was the KCP 18 car. And was Ian driving it at the time then?
yep, yep, so
Okay.
that was him and Ian. So then around that time, I had Southern Pacific Farms helping us out, and he gave us 2 engines to go race, and he'd help us with tires, and, I had to take care of our fuel and our, all the race car side of things. We had Triple X helping us out big time back then. My dad was the first guy to win an outlaw race for Triple X, and, that went a long way with them, just helping my dad and helping me. So, um, yeah, once we had Larry's help, then that's when I started to get racing more. Like, like I said, I probably raced 15 times my first year, maybe 20 times, maybe 25 times, probably 30 times. So it took me a lot of years to actually get the races under my belt. Like, I feel like you watch kids nowadays and they're 60, 70, 80 races right off the get go. So, like, it took me 5 years to get what they're getting in, a year and a half, 2 years. So, yeah, once we got to Larry helping us, then that's when I actually started getting to race a lot, like 14, and then 15 was my first year doing the All-Stars, and then 16. Those were my 2 full-time All-Star years, and I feel like that was when I grew the most on actually figuring out how to race these cars and win the races.
And you probably had Bonsai with you at that point then too, didn't you? Because if you're out getting some races in, you need somebody that's been up and down the road. And Bonsai is one of those guys that has that experience that it's just irreplaceable sometimes.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it happened. We had Larry at Southern Pacific and Bonsai were friends, and obviously with my dad, and, um Bonsai was my main guy, and then, Ames got hurt racing arena cross, and, uh, he couldn't race anymore, so he needed a way to make some money too, so he was my second guy, and us 3, man, we went racing, and we worked hard, and we won a lot of races those 2 years, and then, uh, after 16, it was like, I had Larry's help, I had Bonsai, and I had Zach. It was like the perfect, and then I had Drew who started hanging out around that time as well. He was still in college, but I was like, "Man, I got 2 solid guys and plus Drew when he's ready." It's like the time is now to do the Outlaws, or, like, I don't know if I'll be able to do it again after this. You
Yeah.
don't know how long people are gonna be able to help you or how long these guys can hang around and work on them. And, so happy that I went outlaw racing that year.
Now was that with the 93 car? I don't remember. And usually I'm pretty good with that stuff. But did you guys do the outlaw deal with the 93 car?
Yep, yep. So that was my first year. I bought a trailer, Larry bought us a truck, and I had 4 engines, and, yeah, I raced all year off 4 engines, and honestly, basically 3 engines we raced off that whole first outlaw year.
Was that it? And that was in the 93 car. Man, I'm sorry. I can't believe I missed that one.
That was the black and white one.
Okay. Yeah. And
Yep.
you had Drew out there with you then too?
Yep, so Drew didn't get to come. I think he missed the first West Coast swing because he was still in college, and, um yeah, he came out. I didn't pay Drew a dollar. I feel bad now, but I didn't have any money, and him and his dad love racing, and literally his dad said, "You gotta go do it," and Drew came out, man, full tilt, like I said, literally did not pay Drew, and, his spirit and,
Oh,
just the guy to be around, man. We had such a good time, and, yeah, then when I got the 17 deal, Swain called him and they hired him, and, man, best thing to ever happen.
Drew did you said he was finishing up school. Did he ever play football?
Oh, yeah, Drew's a beast.
Oh, I mean, like I said, he is a beast. So it's like, I wonder if he played football because I know him and Gravy used to spend hours throwing the football back and forth before the races started. And
Oh,
I just
Drew's
go ahead.
Drew's whole family is athletic, man. His sisters played volleyball, his brothers played football, he played basketball, but, he played for Ashland, College in football, and yeah, I'm so disappointed I didn't get to make a game to go watch Drew play, but I've seen some highlight videos, and I got one of Drew's football helmets on my shelf.
Do you really? That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got this you're out on the road with the 93 car with Bonds and Drew, and then, you guys get through the year, and I wanna say, were you out 16 and 17 those 2 years?
Just 16, so
Okay.
it's another crazy that whole year, my first Outlaw year, like, I kinda knew what to expect, right? Like, been
Yep.
around it my whole life, obviously didn't race it, but raced the All-Star deal the 2 years prior, and, the All-Star deal was so great back then. We'd leave on Friday morning, we'd go race, we'd be back Saturday night, and we'd have all week to work on our car in our shop, and, you know, we didn't really have to be on the road. There was maybe a couple PA weeks that we had to stay out, but, other than that, we got to be home every Saturday night, and, uh, that's how it should be. That's how the All-Stars that's what it's intended to be, right? Like,
Yes.
um, yeah, so we did that, and then the first year, man, in the toter home, it was me, Zan, my dog, Bonsai, Zach, and Drew. So
Wow.
6 of us lived in a toter home on the Outlaw deal, and I did not buy 1 hotel room for a full year on the Outlaw tour.
You didn't, not one room.
I didn't have the money to do it,
Yeah.
like, every dollar that we made on that Outlaw deal went back into, fuel and buying race car parts, like, that's what we lived for, and, I didn't care. Literally, we slept, in that toter home, me and Zan had a bed to ourselves with the dog, and the guys slept up front. But that All-Star year, we used to sleep on the couch. We had 2 couches that folded down to one bed, and it would be Bonsai, Drew, Zan, me, 4 wide on a bed, and Zach had his own little bed, and then Pella slept at our feet. So it was like, man, what a time to have 6 people in toter homes and going down the road, man. It was some of the most fun I've ever had.
And that's what I was gonna say. That's gotta be fun because everybody is obviously on the same page. Everybody's committed. Listen, we want to go out and race and we want to win races, and this is how we can do it. So this is what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna suck it up and get on down the road.
Oh, dude. That's probably one of my biggest disappointments is not winning an outlaw show in my own car that first year. And I was so close so many times. I led till the white flag at Lernerville, and I think Donnie won that race. And there was a couple other races that I was really close to winning and, never got the job done, which, the 2 years prior, I think we won 9 all-star races, those 2 prior years. And yeah, just I wanted to win for my guys, just Bonsai and Zach and Drew and Zan, man. If I could have won an outlaw show in that car for them would have just been awesome because we worked hard at it and we spent a lot of time. That's all we did was, and still all we do. But man, back then when it's every single day, me, Bonsai, Zach, and Zan working to go racing, you know, wish I could have won a race, but I think getting the call to get in the 17 car, that was a win right there for us, and that was the goal, like, do this for a year, see if we can get a ride, and, to be able to get the 17 call from Ricky and go win the first race out was like that's what it was about right there.
And what's funny and ironic, I always try to study up a little bit on anybody I'm gonna have on, but like with you, I didn't just because I thought, well, I know Sheldon pretty good, but I did do a few things, and I didn't realize that the driver you replaced in the 17 car wasn't too bad of a shoe, and you were probably pretty tight with too. I didn't realize you replaced your dad in that car.
Man, see, the stuff I don't forget about it, but it's good to get reminded, and again, that's why that first year on the Outlaw Tour was just so much fun, like, when my dad got hired in the 17 car, and Swank and Adam were there, and we had a good relationship with Swank already because he stayed at our house with David, and, um to get to finish that outlaw year off with my dad, just get in the pit beside him and race with him, and we had a couple good races. We were on the, I think we started beside each other. I think twice, once for sure at the King's Royal, and I have a picture of us on the 4 wide, and it's me, my dad, Donnie, and Brad Sweet, and it's probably one of my favorite pictures I ever have.
But you replace him, and then you've got Tyler Swank, who's somebody as your crew chief that you're familiar with. And as we're talking here today, I'm just realizing dude, you've got a pretty small circle if you look at your career between Ripper and Swank your dad, and just a few of the main guys that have been involved with you pretty much from the very onset of your sprint car career.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if it's by design, but um, yeah, small group, and I think the older you get, the smaller it even gets, and yeah, just and then I had Drew there as well that first year on the 17 car, so it was like it wasn't a super big change. Yeah, I didn't know Ricky that well to start off, but Ricky's a personal guy, and he called me and believed in me right from the get-go, and he was easy to talk to as a young kid, and um and Richard and Jennifer as well. Like, they treated me so well all those years, and we had a good time, and we won right off the get-go, and man, we had a lot of good runs too those all those years.
Talk to me a little bit just about the adjustment you have to make from a family-owned team, pretty casual, to all of a sudden you've got corporate sponsors that you need to take care of. You've got a professional team rolling up and down the road. You're just the hired driver. You show up and you don't have to be all hands on this thing. And the corporate side of it for me, learning how to plug certain sponsors no matter what goes on, things like that. Was that a difficult time? Was that a tough transition, or was it fairly easy for you?
I think it was fairly easy just because I feel like I've been around it my whole life, and it was good. Like, they're good people, and it was natural. So, like, I don't feel like I had to be fake about anything on who you're thanking or who you appreciate, because it was genuine. And Lauren was pretty new to the dirt side of things then too. So I feel like we've grown together these last 8 years, and or 9 years now. And um yeah, I don't think it was too big of a deal. Like, just growing up around it, and being around it, I think the biggest change was just not having to work on the race car, and just getting to focus on racing, because man, all them years prior, and working all day. I mean, I was up at 8 every morning with those guys, and at the car wash every single night with those guys for years, and that'll wear you out right there. And once you get into that situation where you're just showing up to race, it's like, "All right, now I understand how these guys can be so good," because that's all they're focusing on. And I think it just gets you to another level, and uh yeah, just grateful for that, because it's a lot of work when you gotta do it. And I think that's what's cool about our sport though, right? Like, every single driver has been in that position and done that. Like, there's not really, I mean, there might be a couple of them, and I think it's getting worse as, the generations happen. But man, I'd say anybody that's, a little older than me has put the work in, and had to work on these things and figure out how to get down the road.
Yeah, I just think about some of the guys that are out there. I can tell you, I know Carson had to work on his own stuff. I know Donnie, his dad made him learn about the stuff. He said you can't race a race car if you don't know what you're sitting in and know how to put it together and take it apart. Just thinking, I'm sure Cole, I know David knows how to work on his stuff if he has to. Just all of the guys still to this day that are successful that I can think of know how to do that. And I would agree that as the kids coming up, no disrespect to any of them. Times change, but um, they kind of lose that ability to maybe fix their own stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine, like, how Donnie feels, and the generations that he's seen, and the ones that he grew up with, and my dad, and how hardcore those guys are. And you know they would laugh at probably me even, and definitely the kids coming up now. And yeah, I'm thankful that I've went through those struggles and had to figure out how to get it done. And um yeah, I don't know how Donnie would, feels, or you know with the kids coming up. But also, I think it is just how it is nowadays. Like, it's different. It ain't like that anymore. And I see these 14, 15-year-old kids getting in factory race cars right from the get-go, and it's like, man, that's pretty badass. I wish I could have gotten cars like that, but also I don't know if I do, because some of the most fun times are putting together piece of shit race cars, and going to win. And I'm like, sometimes it don't get much better than that.
One thing that Don has shared with me, and I'm just going to segue this into your deal, but when you showed up on the Outlaw Tour as a young kid, no matter what, if you wronged somebody, they were going to make sure you knew about it and they were going to take care of it. And Don said Steve never had a problem. You know, if you drove him dirty or whatever, he could make it appear that nothing ever happened. And you could be on the other side of the fence. And and I know that I think I'm comfortable talking to this about you, but I know you and Don had a little bit of a run in many years ago. I think Don ended up getting fined by the Outlaws
Yeah,
with a front end getting flattened on your car, I think, or something like that. Can
yeah.
you share that story with us a little bit or not?
Oh, yeah, that was, my first year on the Outlaw deal in the '93 car, and it was at Lawrenceburg, and, you know, I think it was a heat race and pretty narrow track, and I slid Donnie, and, it was close. We might have tapped a little bit, and probably luckily it was Donnie, and, he probably hit the brakes and let me by and thought, "That idiot kid," and he let me know about it after, and, honestly, I learned a lot just from that one instance, and, um, I think I think even when I raced the All-Stars, I learned a lot, man, because I raced with Schaefer and Dale and Chad and Greg Wilson and Cody Dare, and, it was a great all-star cast, and the same thing, like, I feel like I learned good racecraft racing them guys and racing with respect and, um, still be aggressive, but, you know, not clean these guys out, and, still that first year on the Outlaw deal, like, gun ho, sending it type of thing, and, yeah, just Donnie let me know, and honestly, just he was probably one of the first guys that actually, like, verbally told me I'm an idiot, but, um, yeah, I'm glad he did, and then, I remember later, I don't know if it was that year or whatever, and me and Donnie actually just sat down and talked about it at Knoxville is where we were, and, it kinda gets you thinking and gets it clicking in your head just a little bit more when you can just have a conversation about it. And man, just grateful to be able to race with Donnie and Steve and Dale and Chad and Shafe and all them guys, man. Those are the guys that I feel like taught me how to race just racing with them.
And that's what I think we kind of miss as the era and the times change. Everybody seems like they've got it all figured out, and I think because like you just said, you and Don were able to talk. Okay, there was probably some tense time there, but eventually it worked out, and you and Don, I think, both respect each other mutually very much now and are great friends. Same thing with Donnie getting educated by Steve, I'm going to assume, but it all works out. But I think there's less and less of that where the kids will come to the veterans. And I would consider you a veteran now where some of these kids could come up and ask you, what do I need to know? How can I gain these guys' respect without demanding it? You got to earn it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely, like we said, it's different times now. And, I still feel like the kid out here because Donnie's still out here. I think for me and David and David's been racing a long time. You know, I think when Donnie's not out here anymore, it's gonna make me and David and even Carson and you know feel a little different. And we still got Schaefer racing, for who knows how much longer. But to me, they're like the last, and Wilson racing a little bit. Like those are the last of the guys to me that I grew up watching and respect and um, learn from racing. And like, I feel like when they're gone, it's just going to be different for me and David and, some of us other guys. But um, so lucky that I got to race with those guys. I mean, that's something that, say like an Emerson Axon's never going to get to say that he got to race with Steve, like
Yeah.
that means a lot to me.
And we don't want to leave out the old timer Dale Blaney, who happened to show up last year at the end of the year and just kick all your asses right up and
Dave,
out of the
Dave
racetrack.
Blum.
Or yeah, what was it? Dave that drove that night, or
Yeah,
Dale?
Dave.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, they
Yeah,
still.
Dave beat me
Yeah, was it at
at Sharon.
yeah, it's Sharon. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Oh, that is probably the only second that I'm not gonna be pissed about because what a story for Dave and his family and that track and uh the fashion that he got it done, getting me on the a lap or two to go. What
yeah.
unreal.
Yeah, it was. It was a crazy race too, and like I said, but the Blaneys and all the other guys that you mentioned, man, that to me, that's the good old days of racing, and throwing your dad in there with all those guys too. Utmost respect to them.
Yeah.
Heck, your dad to this day is still the only one to win that $50,000 in Oskaloosa. So cool
Funny
stuff there
story
too.
about that. Literally, Zan's going to get her hair done right now, and I sent a nose cap with her because a kid in town has the Front Row Challenge trophy from that night. And I'm
Really?
like, he put it up on Facebook for sale, and I said, "Bro, I'm coming to get that.
Yeah,
I'll trade you some stuff for it, but I'm getting that trophy literally this week from that race." And man, that's
that's
a
awesome.
memory burned in my brain from that night.
Were you there that night by any chance?
Oh yeah, I was in the infield standing on a flatbed. I think I was probably, I don't know, 5 years old, and I'll
Yeah.
never forget it.
Yeah, because if my memory serves me right, they forgot to tell Mr. Eldon they were going to that race. I think Bond said something about asking for forgiveness instead of permission or something along those lines.
Yeah, and they flipped a coin if they were going to the back or not.
Oh, yep. Okay, yep, yep. And I
Yeah.
remember I was at home when I heard that it all happened. We didn't have all the live broadcasts and stuff back then, but that was a great story there too. And it's awesome you were able to keep that memory alive and get the trophy back now too. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. So my dad, he gave away everything back in the day. Like, he drove for the Pennzoil deal for 9 years or something, and I think I got 5 Pennzoil helmets. So if anybody out there has Pennzoil helmets or suits, I will buy them from you. Just let me know, and I'll take them. But and I'm a helmet collector. But so after the Ironman, when me and Swank won that night,
Yeah.
a guy comes up to me in the pits, and my dad was there that night. And man, I forget the guy's name who was working on my dad's Mopar Million car.
I got
He
nothing
passed
for you.
away.
Okay.
Gave this helmet and trophy to my dad. Gave him his helmet and trophy from winning the Mopar Million. That was the deal they made if they won that race, and they did.
Okay.
So that helmet and trophy were never around. I won the Ironman, and it was packed. It was awesome. And a guy walks up and hands me the Mopar Million helmet and trophy from that night. That was like a bigger win than winning the race for me, getting the Mopar Million
Was
helmet back.
was that the one where you lapped up to sixth place or something that night? Because I know
Yeah,
you've
like
won it twice. So will it be the first one,
it
2019?
was the first one. It was like the greatest night that I've had racing in my life. And then someone came and gave me my dad's Mopar Million helmet. That was like the cherry on top.
Oh my gosh. Did you have any idea that was coming or anything like that?
No, literally, they just showed up and gave it to me. And man, I got funny stories. I got another one guy messaged me and he said, "Hey, got one of your dad's Pennzoil helmets. I'll send it to you." I said, "Awesome. What do you want for it?" He said, "No, can't take no money. I'll just send it to you." I said, "Great." I said, "How'd you get it?" He said, "That I can't tell you." I'm like, I said, "Dude, literally, I don't care how you got it. I just want to know the story."
I know. Go ahead. I want to hear it. I'm dying to hear how we got it.
He said I was at oh, either the Tulsa Fairgrounds. I think it
Yep.
was Tulsa Fairgrounds. And he said after the races were over, him and his buddy were drunk walking through the pits and walked by the side door of the Pennzoil trailer, nabbed my dad's helmet and kept rolling. And he kept it for all those years.
I was there. I was working for your dad then.
No way.
Yes, I'm not kidding you. I could have told you right where it was at. It came out the side door. We were parked on the very end of the line, even and right throughout the end of the. I know exactly how it went down because, yeah, we had the old. I think it was a chaparral trailer. I'm not sure. We had. Oh my gosh, I was working for your dad when that happened in
That's so
1994. It
funny.
happened. That's when
Yep.
they got it. Yep.
Yep. Well, he sent it back. He ended up telling me the story. I'm like, dude, thanks. Like, I love that's pretty crappy. You stole my dad's helmet, but
It
thank you
is.
so much for sending it back.
That's crazy. God, what a
Yeah, and it was
small
just
world.
out of the blue too. Like he just sent me a message and like he said, "Hey, I got one of your dad's helmets," and sent it back. Like,
Yep. Yep.
so
Because I remember.
anybody out there, if you've stolen my dad's helmets, you are forgiven. I will take it.
Just send them back.
Yeah.
That's crazy that how all that went down. That yeah, because after that we had to start. We started closing the side door. We started even like people would steal fuel caps off the cars, steering wheels. We would get everything out of the car as soon as the race was over. Because back then people just come down and that's when you bought T-shirts right out of the trailers back then. The drivers didn't have the T-shirt trailers, so it was a mob scene down there. So Yeah,
That
great.
was like that's one of my greatest childhood memories too. Like I'll never forget Eldora in the line of people to get autographs at the back of the trailer, man. And it was like a mob, like you're saying. And my dad had his little studio chair he'd sit in, and my mom would be selling shirts out the side, and like it was
Yep.
unreal back then as a kid.
Yep, because the side doors used to have all the displays. The side doors of the trailers, people might not remember, had all the displays of the different T-shirts you had, and they actually had to carry the T-shirts on board the trailer, and they had special cabinets built for those.
That I think that trailer that you're talking about is still around. I think Book had it, the 13
He
guy,
did.
and it still had my mom's T-shirt labels on those cabinets to this day.
Did it? Yeah. Yep.
Crazy.
That is crazy. Wow, well, at least now I know where that helmet ended up. You got it
Yeah,
back.
I'll
That's
show you in a minute. I
yeah,
got it.
that's cool. All right, so moving on, you spent 7-8 years with the Marshalls and with Ricky and in the 17 car, and you started off with Tyler Swank, as you said, but then eventually, some as is the racing world works, things changed. And is that what did Ripper replace Swank right away?
Yep. So I think from the start, me and Ripper, like he had to leave me because we weren't making money and had a great opportunity with the 18 car. And you know, he had a his wife in Iowa and just worked out great for him, and started a family there, and um yeah, worked out great for him. And I don't know how many years me and Swank did together. I think it was 17, 18, 19 maybe, and Ripper's first year was probably 20. And um I think from the start me and Ripper knew we were gonna figure a way out to get back together. Like we went through too much and learned too much from the get-go to not want to race with each other at the caliber that we wanted to, and see how we could perform. And yeah, so I think 2020 they hired Ripper. And that was a tough choice for Ripper too, because he's living in Iowa, he has a newborn. And um it's an 8-hour drive from Knoxville to Indy to go work on this car. And he made it work. And man, we've had some great races together in the 17 car, and grateful that he made that change. I don't think it was probably that easy for him to do. And I don't think I know Ripper believes in me and what we're able to accomplish. And man, I believe in Ripper 100%. Like, I think people think they know Ripper, but they don't know Ripper. And I feel like I know him, and the work that he puts in, and you know, this is what he lives and dies for. Like, I think he's one of the smartest guys out there, and most capable, and will outwork literally anybody.
That's one thing, and you've got Dawson Heat Rider, who is on your crew this year now. I know Dawson real well from back when he was with Donnie and the TSR guys, and Dawson and I have stayed tight. He said that's one thing he's learned about Ripper is Ripper almost he just wants to do it all, and sometimes there's not enough hours in the day. It's like I got to get motors ready, I got to get front ends built, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. So obviously, Ripper is very committed to the role that he takes.
Yeah, I think too, like, me and Ripper and how we did it, it was just us, and mainly Ripper, like, doing the actual, you know, physical work. And, I was a lending hand when I had Ripper. And yeah, I mean, he wants to do everything, he can do everything, and he knows he can do it better than everybody else as well. So, it's hard to be able to pass that off. And, I think he's gotten way better over the years. And, that's another thing about this sport. Like, you have your main guys, and a lot of these crew guys, either can't stick around or don't stick around. And for crew chiefs to trust these guys, and put their faith in them, and then hopefully they're getting done right, and then hopefully they're not going to leave you high and dry either in the middle of the season, or do things wrong. So it's a lot of trust in other crew guys to say, I trust you to do this right and do it. And, I think this year is great for Ripper because, Adam's a little bit older. He's done everything. And I think it's way easier for Ripper to trust Adam.
Yep.
And just, we haven't been around Dawson long, but you can watch Dawson work and know he knows what he's doing. Like, we've had tire guys over the years where, Ripper was more of a babysitter and was probably better off just doing it himself, but he physically don't have the time in the day to do it himself. So, you know, anything, if we have good crew guys like Dawson and Adam, there's no reason we can't succeed because that just takes the load off Ripper and myself.
Yeah. I want to talk just a little bit about last year. You made the announcement way ahead of time that you were going to be leaving the team, and it's to my belief that you didn't know what you were going to do yet, but it was just time to maybe do something different. Talk about how it was getting through the end of the year like that, knowing you're going somewhere else and that you're leaving the team. Was it pretty much status quo to finish out the year with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, that was the plan. And, you know, I think the 18 was probably in the back of our mind for probably over a year, but obviously they had a good thing going with Geo, um, and really just because the relationship that Ripper and Matt have in the shop location, and Ripper's got 2 kids now, and we kind of talked about it, but it never was really something that was going to be plausible in the near future. It was just talking, and when Geo quit, I think me and Ripper probably looked at each other and were like, we need to make a move, and I think I know where Ripper's gonna be the happiest, and that's such a part of it, man, is having these crew chiefs happy. Like, they're the ones that operate these teams, and you gotta have people that trust you to operate these teams, and, that crew chief has to be comfortable and accommodated because, man, like, if your life isn't happy just in your real world, like, your race team is not going to be happy and operate well. And so that was just probably our biggest thing. And then obviously their cars and engines, and they had things that we wanted, and in their relationship. So from that point, it was like, how do we go about this, and what do we do? And we had a meeting with Matt pretty early after that, and I feel like my main mind was made up, and that wasn't an easy conversation to have with Ricky and Richard and Lauren, and them are big conversations to have, and nothing but respect for Richard and Ricky and Lauren on the 17 deal, man. Like, I've said it 100 times. I appreciate them so much, and man, they trusted me from the get go, and I feel like we did a lot of great things together, and um, yeah, the plan was finish the year out with them and go racing, and we did, and won the national open, man. What a high, and such a great race, and uh just to be able to win with Ripper there, and that 17 team, especially after making those announcements and everybody talking and and everything else going on, just great to get that win.
It was in pretty much your last race with Ripper and the 17 team with Ripper there. So that was really, really cool the way that went down.
Oh yeah, it was cool till it wasn't cool. I'll never forget driving home, just, a 6-hour drive from PA, and happy as can be, and, my phone's blowing up all Sunday, and Ripper calls me and says, "Dude, I just got fired." And I'm like, "No, yeah, right." And he said, "Dude, I just got fired." I was like, "Huh." Like, I didn't know how to take it. I didn't know what to say or do, and, man, what a roller coaster.
It was, and kudos to you for sticking out the year, and you guys got through that, and then it was nice probably to know that you probably had something in place moving forward. So let's get through this and then move on, and everybody will go their own way and with a lot of respect to each other.
Yeah, yeah, and honestly, it all worked out. Like, Ripper was able to get to the 18 shop early, and, seeing what they had, and went racing with them a little bit, and went racing with Emerson, and, I think that's still good for you to go race with other people, and, um, yeah, just being able to get to the 18 shop and Ripper to get to go and work there, and, get reestablished with Matt, and see how he was going, and, I don't, in my opinion, know how much longer the 18 probably would have raced if Ripper didn't get back to there. Just, it's a lot of money spent, and guys want to see results. So, um, yeah, all in all, it worked out.
Yeah, definitely. So then you get the off season to do that, and you guys come out. come out of the box, and you got the cars you want, you got the motors you want, you've got pretty much I think anything that you guys wanted. It sounds like, and you're able to hit the ground running at Volusia pretty good.
Yeah, and honestly, the biggest thing for us was Ripper getting to be where he wants, and it was our engine program on the 17 deal. It wasn't fitting my driving style and how Ripper sets cars up, and you know, when you put it on a spreadsheet, it told you pretty simple that when we put our other stuff in, we ran good, and when we put our other stuff in, we ran bad. So, you know, probably a move that could have been made earlier for my career, and yeah, just Ripper helped build the 18 engine program when he was first there, and he knew what they had. They still have the engines that he has worked on in the past, and obviously with David and Cody and their relationship with Morrison, like we know it's a solid program, and that's what we wanted mainly. So, yeah, I'm just fortunate to be able to be in this position to have these engines and cars and have Ripper and Adam and Dawson and uh, Matt has been great, and all their partners, all them guys are like pumped to go racing, and they all pitch in and want to see us succeed. And I don't know them all very well, but I still get texts from them already, and it's cool to see people pumped up to go race.
Yeah, and then you're able to get that first win already for the year too, so that's always a good start too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And uh, especially Volusia, I feel like I've been good at Volusia, and we weren't very good there the first go around. And but me and Ripper kind of had a game plan our first Volusia. We didn't know what to expect, right? Like all new cars, the only thing same was kind of our shock package that we had. But when you bolt them on these other cars, it's different. And you have different engines that are spinning your tires differently. And um, yeah, so like the first night, I don't think we honestly touched the car. We just like put a basic deal to it, and we wanted to see how it rolled the whole night. And then we got rained out, and then the second night we kind of went the other way and saw what it did that way, and kind of left it that way. And when we got back there for the second Volusia, we kind of had a better game plan of what we wanted.
Obviously, the results showed that too. So, but one thing I that you mentioned just a little bit, Cody and David and Zach and Pete and Luke and those guys, um, for the casual fan, they might not know it, but for a lot of the diehard fans, know that you're going to see the 18 and the 2 car parked beside each other 99% of the races you go to, and you guys have a great, I'd call it friendship, camaraderie, whatever you want to call it, with that other team. And it's kind of like I know that Jason Sides and Donnie kind of go. Everybody's kind of got their travel buddies. I'd say the 23 and the 83 right now. But how nice is it to know that you've got the team beside you, that you guys are all really great friends and people will jump in and help out if needed, but just to have that fun moment also.
Oh yeah, I think that's what honestly keeps you going too. And you know, I consider Cody like a cousin, man. He's been around my whole life. We grew up together. I'd stay at his house when my parents were out racing, and him and his brother, I feel like are cousins to me. So yeah, it's like a family, man. And we got Luke, who used to work for us, is now working for them, and Zach and Pete, and man, it's just good to know that you have people that are willing to help you, and we're willing to help them at any cost, really. Like it doesn't matter. We'll help them guys, and they're going to help us. And Cody and Ripper have a great relationship. Ripper and David have a great relationship. So it's like it's a full circle at that pit area for us. And for me to be able to go out here and compete for Outlaw wins with you know Cody, David, me, and Ripper is like pretty surreal when you think of us working in my dad's shop starting out.
Yeah, that is crazy. One thing I got to hit you up about, new saying that's come around lately over the last 10 years is the Sheldon line. It probably used to be the Jack line, but you've pretty much overtaken that from him. Talk about it. Do you believe that your motorcycle experience makes you comfortable, or you can just put it on? I mean, I'm going to call it, put it on the edge. I don't care if I'm working for Donnie, who I've been for 20 years. Dude, I enjoy the crap out of watching you when you're in the zone and when you're doing that. Tell me what it's like for the comfort zone and what gives you the ability to do what you do.
Yeah, I don't know. Definitely, I think it comes from the dirt bike world, and uh, yeah, a lot of times, like when I do crazy things or it looks crazy, like I don't feel out of control or like I did something crazy at all. Like, when I get on a dirt bike and you go hit a 120-foot step up, or that's crazy to me. And yeah, for me, it's hard to like do something in a sprint car that's like really impresses me, and you know it's just hard. Like, my dad, honestly, is about one of the only guys that I've ever watched that, like, did stuff that really impressed me, and, you know, I think growing up watching my dad and then just growing up riding dirt bikes and then getting in these cars, and it's like a dirt bike with 4 wheels, just the power that you have, and when your car is good, a lot of that stuff feels easy.
Yeah, well, obviously, like you said, the only thing that impressed you was watching your dad. I'm gonna tell you, you should watch yourself sometime. Like I say, I'd say that in a positive way because it's fun. Sometimes I just got to quit watching if you're doing that stuff, and it's not like you're going out there just saying I don't care what happens here. You're obviously in a comfortable zone for yourself.
Yeah, and honestly, there's only, like, really, like, 1 pass that I've done that I was, like, kind of impressed myself, and it was at Eldora, and I went around Donnie out of turn 4, and it was slick on the cushion, and I went around Donnie's right rear right off of 4. That was probably the craziest pass I've ever did, and nobody probably even ever saw it. I know it's on film, and, um, to me, that was one of the craziest passes I've ever done. Just the speed that you're going there, and I probably only ever would do it with Donnie because he's gonna hold his line and you don't have to worry about it. I don't think if there was one other guy in front of me that would have happened, but with Donnie, I feel like there's a comfort zone of being able to race with him, and same with David, man. Like, those 2 guys, racing with them is like it's just a whole different respect level than pretty much anybody else in the country. It's, high speed and precise, and you're not sketched out at all.
Yeah.
And hopefully they feel that way about me, even though, sometimes I might do crazy things, but, I feel like I try and race all my guys with respect and not clean them out.
No, I don't think there's any concern about. I don't hear there's certain people that you kind of raise your eyebrows anymore. And Sheldon, I'll tell you this: you're not on that list anymore.
Thanks. Yeah. I feel like I was probably there, and I probably pissed Dale and Shafe and Chad off, and Donnie and maybe a couple of them guys starting out. But like I said, I think you learn quick that you don't want to be that guy and you don't want to be talked about. And I feel like if anything, I do probably my slide jobs and some of my passes too big that end up hurting myself on track for position. But I think I would rather do those sliders like that than the other way around.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, your dog Pella has been with you forever and ever, and I noticed when I was doing some homework, Pella has merch for sale, even or back in at least last year did. Pella is a big part of your life, and also a lot of the fans have gotten to know your dog. Tell us just a little bit about how you got Pella and what's going on there.
Man, that's a whole story as well, man. So Pella, it was 2015, I think, 14 or 15. I was in the 93 car at Knoxville for the Nationals, and had a pretty good prelim night. I was actually racing for a different guy, and quick, I think quick time or second quick on my prelim night in his car. Didn't make it through the heat. Went through the B. I was gonna start tail the feature that night, and probably just needed to work myself up through there a little bit, and probably would have been okay. Uh, but it blew up, lining up for the feature. Pulled in. He loaded up and went home, and left me to dry. And we were starting fourth in the B main for Saturday at Nationals. So it was
Nope,
like,
just gone. He was gone.
yeah, we didn't have engines, and that was just is what
Yeah,
it is. It was Craig Bolt's great guy, just he didn't have
yeah.
the engines, and he's just a farmer, and me and Ripper were there racing for him, and uh, I had the 93 car sitting out in the parking lot for 2 weeks because we were there for 360 and 410. Didn't have an engine in it, but we had a hauler we were staying in the car, and, starting 4th in the B main. It was me, Brad Sweet, Lee Jacobs, someone else starting up front, and, so I rented an engine off Trey Starks, put it in our 93 car, and there was a girl walking around with dogs at the beginning of the night. And I literally picked a little baby dog up and I sent Zane a picture. I said, "If we make the show, we're getting a dog." And she was so excited.
Oh,
Long story
really?
sh
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Long story short, I junked that race car the whole way down the front stretch. You probably
Oh,
remember that crash. I flipped from turn 4 past the flag stand with a Trey Starks engine. My car sat there for 2 weeks. I literally took a seat home, and that was it. Like, destroyed it.
can I just ask one quick question? Was that the week that that trailer sat out back missing an axle out of it all week too?
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. We were
Yeah.
probably fixing an axle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sat up against the fence when you drive in. Yeah.
Oh, there was all sorts of stuff going. We put more trailer axles and wheels in than you could imagine, but so I junked that race car, and literally not 10 minutes after that, I told Zane, I said, "We're getting a dog anyways," and I picked Pella up, and it
Oh,
was like 3 in the morning. I paid this girl for this dog because we were loading up a junk race car, and, yeah, day 1 was Knoxville Nationals, and she's been to almost every single race for 11 years now, and I'd say over 500 races easily.
so that also answers my question: how long you and Zan have been together? How you guys met? That's the one I don't know. Now that you're
Yeah.
married.
Yeah, that's another one. Zan's been there from the get-go. I think 2012, I was racing at Eldora, and, she was, Eldora queen, and she was just walking around taking photos with everybody, and, took her photo with me, and I got her phone number, and pretty much ever since then, I mean, she was just she was doing that, but she was in college. She really didn't go to the races all that much except for the queen deal, and, um, man, she's been committed ever since, and, supported me from day 1 as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yep. So Sheldon, I can't believe this. It's already been an hour and 15 minutes, and it seems like we're just getting started. But thanks so much. I know you and me tried about 5 different times to get together to do a show, and when you said 11:30 to your time today or 12:30, whatever, I'm like, dude, I'm making that work. I was just literally texting you, how about we do this tomorrow? Because I had
Yeah,
some other stuff, but I'm like, I'm not letting him get away again. I was on
uh,
the phone. That's like it took me a half hour to email you. I had to make some other plans to get him moved around. Like I'm getting him on. So
nice. Well, thank you.
yeah, so absolutely. Thanks again for coming on. Thanks again for sharing some of your stories with us. Some stuff I didn't even know about, and kind of cool stuff. And we'll see you on down the road.
Yep, thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, everyone. So that's some, like I said, some great stuff from Sheldon. Great stories from how he got started and everything in between. But always great to catch up with guys like that too, and fun to talk a little bit about that stuff. Like I said before, if you happen to run across me at a racetrack or anywhere else, don't be afraid to give me a shout. I love to put some faces with the people that are following me, and I just appreciate all the support from all of you. Like I said earlier, if you can give me a follow, give me a share, give me a subscribe. I'd sure appreciate that. Like always, it's always fun doing the shows, and had a great time with Sheldon today. Appreciate all of you for following and tuning in. We'll catch you right back here next time. Have a great Easter, everyone.